That's it. One. Hey, welcome to San Francisco Liberal Buzz, or SF Liberal Buzz, where we here our mission is to police the right wing. Just to put it very as plainly as I possibly can, because we only have 22 minutes to do that. So, anyway, we're commercial free, so we're going to be telling the truth here. And we talk today about a herbaceous annual, which is not a drug. So people need to stop calling it a drug because it isn't. So let's get this straight. We're going to call it herbaceous annual or cannabis from here on out. Drug is not an appropriate word. It's like a swear word to me when you are talking about cannabis or any derivatives of cannabis. So let's get on to the meaty, juicy part of this. Weed is a gateway substance to eating food. There's new HUD rules that are actually restricting the use of cannabis and a lot of other restrictions as well. Like in some places they're telling you where to bathe and when to bathe, and just some horrible new restrictions that I think were not well thought out at all. And I've got some guests to actually... I've got my guests here. Let's see, I'm trying to do my 2-shot here. 3-shot. So, yeah, so, people are in public housing, they're facing difficulties with their, legal difficulties with the management, them being the federal government, who are not really... They're actually loosening up their stance on it a little bit lately, with Obama saying, I'm not going after states who have cannabis laws in place. We have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air at San Francisco Liberal Buzz. Can I have your name and neighborhood or city, please?
Can you put your phone number on the screen so people can call you? We don't...
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, G. I didn't really want people to call me this soon, but... we got to talk about some things. So if you guys are thinking about calling right away, try to wait a few minutes because we have to talk about some stuff about this housing stuff. So, I've got this problem now. Okay. We work with antiquated equipment. Okay, so, what I wanted to say is, we have Gregory here, and he's going to talk to us about, the ban on cannabis in public housing. So, you want to introduce yourself, Greg?
Yes. Hello, folks. My name is Greg Ledbetter. I am former chair of the Anti-Displacement Caucus of the Harvey Milk Club, and as well as a advocate for homeless rights, a graduate from the Hope SF Academy here in San Francisco. And the projects that were going on for the Section 8 housing was to redevelop each neighborhood. And in particular, neighborhood that we're talking about right now would be Hunter's View. I think it was called Hunters Point at one point in time.
Hunter's View?
Yes, that's what they're
no.
renaming the place. And
making it more palatable to the rich.
Yeah, well, as the redevelopment starts, everybody wants to have a fresh name and a new start. And the promise was that everyone were able to relocate until this project is completed, and each tenant had the right to either move back into their own unit or stay where they are currently housed. Unfortunately, I've been getting reports that that's not happening for the medical cannabis community. And I understand that the federal guidelines prohibits cannabis smoking or drug use on their property, but ADA rights are in order for all disabled people, and I do feel that the seniors and some of the other patients that live out in that area should have the right to be able to not only move back into their units, but be able to live the comfortable, pain-free life that they had been living prior to them leaving.
It's not fair. I think it's profiling, and they're targeting.
Well, I didn't want to go there, Denise, but you're right.
They don't do it at every.
Unfortunately, in Huntersview, there are quite a few people of color and of low income, and I don't know if that's deliberately targeting them, but it's definitely hurting them.
Well, I saw on the front page of the Examiner about a week ago about how they were going to be asked to keep how to shower and how to keep their window, and there's all these rules and regulations, and it's because they've privatized a lot of the a lot of the housing authority has been privatized. You know, the corporations that run it, they're for profit.
Most of them are for profit, and be totally honest with you, if I was living on the second floor and had to use a wheelchair, or if I was in an area that needed wheelchair accessibility, they would definitely turn around and look at putting in wheelchair accessibility. This is no different. If
No.
Medical cannabis is for disabled people that actually need it, and if they cannot be accommodated, then some accommodations need to be arranged.
Yeah, I think also to go a step further, to have rooftop gardens, or maybe give them the sunny apartments on the top floor where the smoke can rise up further.
That's true. And another one that I find to be encouraging, and I think John could probably chime in here, some of the SROs that are in the San Francisco area, they are being a little more liberal than to let some patients do their own growing and medication in small quantities, granted, and in respectable ways, because you don't want to be a bad patient and disturb your surroundings.
Well, there are certain strains that aren't as smelly as others too, and there's ways to like put a wet towel under the door, you know, and ways to cut down on this amount of smoke by vaporizing. There's ways to get around that. So.
What really makes it work within the city's SROs is the cooperation of management with the tenants. Meaning, the case managers in every SRO in San Francisco is supposed to have a case manager that works with the tenants to make sure that their safety and their health is being looked out for. Respects.
Hello, you're on the air with SF Liberal Buzz. Can I have your name and your neighborhood?
Oh, it's me, Psychic Frank, Denise. Hi.
Hey, what up?
Hey, Frank.
Well, I don't want to interrupt Jay and Greg there, but I just wanted to mention that people are with ill people taking pharmaceuticals. A lot of the side effects of the pharmaceuticals is they have no appetite and they waste away. This is not just like recreational. This is like medicine. They don't. This pharmaceuticals are not the answer. The side effects are deadly. I've been a healer for 28 years in this city since the 80s, and I've seen it happen. So it's not like it's a necessity. So I'll let other people call in now. But it's good to see you guys there. Good, keep up the work.
Hey, thanks,
Thank you,
Frank.
Okay, God love you all. Bye.
Love you
Peace
too,
out.
Frank.
Yeah, peace.
All right.
Frank did bring up a
Namaste.
very good point there. A lot of the pharmaceuticals, especially people that are living with HIV, cancer, and even muscular aches and pains, they are challenged after taking so many drugs with getting an appetite. And something as simple as eating, and for you and I, it's easy to do. Well, actually, for some of us, it's easy to do. But that is very important part of their normal way of life. I mean, the quality of life would be drastically changed if they're not being able to turn around and medicate and maintain the weight that they need to survive.
Absolutely. I strongly feel that this is an attack on poor patients' rights.
We'll see here. We've got this. What about this Ed Lee in the SF Housing Agency flap? You know, where he appointed this kind of a questionable character to head the housing agency.
I haven't gotten a chance to actually look at the new director of the housing agency, but I do know that most of the was my experience that the contacts that I've had while going through school was pretty much stickler for details. So if that is what we had before, I would imagine this one is not going to be any different. But the point that I was trying to bring up is that just like folks that are living in the subsidized housing out there at Hunterview and West Side and the other apartment complex that they're talking about doing, could take a good look at some of the things that are going on in the SROs and how they are being able to approach this situation. And maybe they could turn around and come to some kind of agreement or a middle of the road, because I don't feel that the promise that was given to those patients out there at Huntersview is being honored, and this is a tenants' right issue as well. So I would hope that they would look into this a little bit deeper and give the folks out there the respect and dignity that they deserve.
That's the whole crux of the conversation here, I think, is about respect. It's about respecting cannabis rights as civil rights, and not as a recreational. I believe, first of all cannabis use is medicinal. And operating on that principle, it should be part of the liberal platform and the progressive platform. And I'm tired of seeing liberals and so-called progressives run away from the cannabis issue when they embrace the marriage issue, because they're both civil rights and they just haven't. They'll make the connection eventually. I think it's only getting better for the cannabis movement. I don't think it's getting worse.
Well,
the problem is privatization of the cannabis.
Well, see, that's what I was just fixed to bring up. Some say that the federal government is just waiting to get enough medicinal quality products available for the medical cannabis patient, and then they would turn around and come to the forefront and acknowledge medical cannabis. But if anybody ever should tell you that medical cannabis does not work and is not effective, I would suggest you do your own research and find out for yourself. Because I have friends of mine that swear by it.
Oh, well, the government knows that it's a medicine, and what it is Bayer has this product named Sativex.
Sativex, yes.
Sativex?
Yes.
Sativex, okay, better pronunciation. And they think they bought the rights for $1 billion for the exclusive rights to grow cannabis somewhere. I heard this. It's an ugly rumor. And in Ottawa now, they privatized cannabis there, where you can only buy it pharmaceutically now. In Ottawa. I've got the tweet here.
I do give our city and county supervisors credit, because they are very liberal and open to discussing the ideas of
we need to be able to grow at home. The whole thing is we need to preserve our rights to grow at home, because that's the whole argument here. If we can't grow at home, then our power has been taken away. There's no two ways about it. Once someone else has the herb, it's like tobacco. Whether it's a good or bad herb, they put a lot of poison in it and sell it back to us, even though we could grow it. But it's illegal to grow tobacco. I think the penalties are worse than for cannabis in some places.
In some states, yes.
I think Australia. Don't quote me. I have to Google that, so I don't want to be like one of those BS media sources, you know.
Well,
I've heard it's you don't hear of anybody growing their own tobacco. So
that's correct. But see, it goes a little bit deeper than that also, because I also sit on the Marijuana Oversight Offense Committee at City Hall.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of displaced patients out there also that are getting harassed and unjustly their medicine taken for minor offenses and trying to medicate on the streets. Now, most responsible cannabis patients would not turn around and do that on the streets because they would usually have a safe place that they can go. And in this day and age, those are becoming fewer and fewer. If you are looking in the news and the closures that are going on here in the city and around the states, if you can't medicate in your own place and they're closing down the safe places that you can medicate, it's really putting folks right back on the streets with Joe Blow selling you $20 grams and taking the risk of getting beat down. And you know, this is not, it's a safety issue too. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's a public safety issue. And if they are looking at a patient being a health issue, well, this is a health issue. It's a quality of life issue, and it should be looked at such.
And it's a financial issue, both for the patient who loses out on a medication that's effective and has to use other medications that aren't as effective and ends up maybe having surgeries they might not have had to have. Mm-hmm. And there's other things that, you know, that taxes that would have gone to the community, you know, on the sales of small amount of cannabis, you know, not huge amounts, like people coming in and buying pounds and going to other states. That'll get us in trouble, of course.
Well, see, another one too, Denise, is that a lot of people are looking at this as being marijuana based, and believe me, there's a good 45% of medical cannabis patients that, believe it or not, do not medicate by smoking. Some use teas, some use tinctures, some vaporize, as you mentioned earlier. There are many other ways they could turn around and ingest this into their body. And I think that's another thing that they should explore when they're trying to turn around and totally eliminate something that is a vital part of someone's lifestyle. You know?
Well, it's harm reduction, actually. I've known alcoholics that if they didn't have their cannabis, they go back to drinking, you know, and the behavior is just, I'd rather deal with them when they smoke the weed. Let me just put it bluntly.
Yeah,
and
to say the least.
Yeah.
I think it's important for San Francisco, or actually the city, to realize that San Francisco is a sanctuary city. With that being said, what kind of city do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a city where the wealthiest of the wealthy medical cannabis patients are able to access dispensaries at their convenience and enjoy quality medicine that is not affordable to low-income, poor, homeless patients? I mean, is that what we want? Is that what kind of city we want? Do we want to live in a city where on one side of the street, upper middle class medical cannabis patients get out of their cars and really walk into the dispensaries and enjoy the best medicine that was really intended for sick patients?
I like the idea of community gardens. Community gardens with that grows vegetables and medicine.
I think it's important for patients and advocates to really bring this issue up.
Now, Ed Lee has knocked that issue back. Ed Lee doesn't even want to talk about that issue at all. Ed Lee wants to... We have a call.
We have a call in.
Hello, caller. You're on the air with SF Liberal Buzz. Could I have your name and your neighborhood or city?
Hi, Gilbert in the South of Market. Have you guys followed... well, when you follow lawsuits, they always say follow all administrative means. Maybe you guys should confront the man behind the problem. The man behind the problem is HUD, Housing and Urban Development. They're following the rules. The John Stewart Company is the company that's administrating the Hunters Point project. However, if they're breaking the law, violating their constitutional and civil rights, the man to approach is HUD. And if they're doing it, then you can sue them too. You have the federal court system at your access. Remember, veterans don't have access to federal court system. We're like third-class citizens or whatever. You know, terrorists even have that. But anyway, I would suggest you open a dialogue with the HUD people, and then Jon Stewart will follow suit, because HUD is the man.
Thanks for your comment. And the supervisors also need to keep Ed Lee in check. In other words, Ed Lee appointed this man to head the HUD, and Ed Lee needs to come under scrutiny of the Board of Supervisors, and I hope it happens, because the Board of Supervisors tend to actually just use soft issues, you know, and just toss them balls rather than play hardball and ask them the hard questions. And you can look in the SF gate, because we haven't really got time to go into it. But if you go on the SF gate this week, we'll go to it just for a second here. Aaron Peskin wrote a great article about it. About the here. Let's have a look at it real quick.
And, to follow
just
up
keep
on
talking.
yours, Gilbert, it's not so much the HUD, is that the for some strange reason or the other, Jon Stewart Company is not particularly being consistent with their rules and regulations. I understand that other folks don't have as many problems with older projects that Jon Stewart's are managing, but the newer ones that are getting developed are becoming harder and harder for low-income patients to obtain. So we want to keep an eye on that.
Hey, you're on the air. We got like a few seconds left.
All right. Well, I didn't hear what everybody had to say, but I was going to say that I'm a tenant in the Tenderloin, and that I grow some of my own medicine in my windowsill. And I appreciate being in an SRO where I'm able to do that. And
5 seconds.
I think that we should have an SRO where medical marijuana patients could move in, and they would have their own setup already.
Okay, you're off. Bye-bye.
Perfect example.
All right,
that's
ciao.
a perfect
We're out.
example.
That's it?
Bye.
Yep.
That's it.
Wow. Okay. How do we do? I mean, I'm sorry. I just
think
went
it
off.
did good. I think